The supplement industry is worth $177 billion. The average American spends $56 a month on vitamins their body mostly eliminates by lunchtime. And sitting in your kitchen right now are three ingredients that, combined in a single glass jar and left alone for 7 days, produce a living compound that delivers more bioavailable nutrition than a cabinet full of capsules. Total cost, under $4. Time required, 5 minutes. The industry that sells you dead synthetic vitamins and gelatin shells does not want you to know this works. The three ingredients are raw honey, apple cider vinegar with a mother, and whatever dried herbs you already have in your spice rack. Turmeric, oregano, rosemary, thyme. It does not matter which ones. What matters is what happens when you submerge them in a honey vinegar solution and leave them in a dark cupboard for 1 week. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Food Science and Technology found that fermenting herbs in an acidic honey medium increased their polyphenol content by up to 300%. Polyphenol are the compounds responsible for anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and antimicrobial activity. In their raw form, your body absorbs roughly 5 to 10% of the polyphenol in dried turmeric. After 7 days of fermentation in honey, that absorption rate jumps to over 40%. The fermentation process breaks down the plant cell walls that your stomach acid cannot penetrate on its own. A second study published in 2020 in the journal Nutrients tested fermented oregano against raw oregano extract. The fermented version showed 7 times greater antimicrobial activity against E. coli and 4 times greater activity against Staphylococcus aureus. The researchers concluded that fermentation produces entirely new metabolites that do not exist in the raw plant, compounds the herb never contained until bacteria transformed it. A third study from Seoul National University in 2018 found that fermented rosemary extract reduced neuroinflammation markers in mice by 62% compared to 19% for raw rosemary. The fermentation had created a compound called rosmarinic acid lactone that does not appear anywhere in the fresh herb. The bacteria had manufactured a new molecule. This is not new science. This is forgotten science. Korean traditional medicine has used fermented herbal preparations for over 2,000 years. Ayurvedic practitioners in India fermented turmeric and honey before written records existed. The Japanese ferment over 50 different herbs in a preparation linked to gut microbiome diversity scores 3 times higher than the average Western diet. In rural Russia, fermented herb and honey preparations called spitin were the primary medicine for over 800 years before the Soviet government replaced traditional healers with state-run pharmacies. In 1924, the modern supplement industry took these living fermented compounds, freeze-dried them, stripped out the bacteria, pressed them into tablets, and sold them back to you at 4,000% markup. This preparation has a name that predates the industry that replaced it. Oxymel, from the Greek words for acid and honey, documented in medical texts dating back to Hippocrates in 400 BC. He prescribed it for respiratory infections, joint pain, and digestive disorders. The Roman army carried it on campaign as both food and medicine. Medieval European monasteries maintained oxymel cellars the way modern hospitals maintain pharmacies. This was standard medicine for 2,400 years, until the pharmaceutical industry decided there was no profit in something anyone could make in their kitchen. A bottle of turmeric capsules costs $25 and delivers curcumin with a bioavailability of roughly 2% without added piperine. A jar of honey-fermented turmeric costs less than $1 to make and delivers curcumin at bioavailability rates that published research puts between 35 and 45%. That is not a marginal improvement. That is a different category of product delivering results the capsule cannot approach at a fraction of the cost, made in your kitchen in 5 minutes. When you buy a probiotic capsule, you're buying bacteria that were grown in a laboratory, freeze-dried, and sealed in a gelatin shell. By the time those bacteria reach your stomach acid, studies estimate that between 60 and 90% of them are already dead. A 2019 study published in Cell found that commercial probiotics pass through the gut of most participants without establishing any lasting colonies at all. The bacteria in fermented oxymel are different. They are alive. They are actively metabolizing. They have already survived an acidic environment similar to your stomach, and they arrive alongside the very prebiotic compounds they need to establish colonies in your gut. A standard probiotic supplement delivers between 1 billion and 50 billion colony-forming units per dose, most of them dead or dying. 1 teaspoon of properly fermented herbal oxymel delivers between 10 billion and 100 billion living, active colony-forming units that have already proven they can survive in an acidic environment. No capsule in existence can deliver this. The difference is not marketing. It is measurable. Here is exactly how to make it. Take a clean glass jar, any size. Mason jars work. Old jam jars work. It does not matter. Fill it 1/3 full with raw, unprocessed honey. Not the plastic bear from the supermarket. Raw honey from farmer's market, $8 to $12 a jar, and 1 jar makes dozens of batches. Add 1 tablespoon of raw apple cider vinegar with the mother. The mother is the cloudy bacterial colony floating at the bottom of the bottle. This is your starter culture. It contains Acetobacter and Lactobacillus strains that drive the entire fermentation. Without the mother, nothing happens. Now add your herbs. Dried herbs work better than fresh for this method because lower moisture content prevents mold. 2 tablespoons of dried herbs per cup of honey. Push them down until fully submerged. No herb should be exposed to air. Seal the jar loosely, not airtight. Fermentation produces carbon dioxide that needs to escape. A cloth held with a rubber band works. A mason jar lid resting on top without being screwed down works. Leave it in a dark cupboard at room temperature. For the first 3 days, open the jar once daily and stir. You will see small bubbles forming on the surface. That is the lactobacillus converting sugars in the honey into lactic acid, dropping the pH and creating an environment where harmful bacteria cannot survive, but beneficial bacteria thrive. By day 5, the honey will have thinned noticeably. A slightly tangy smell. The herbs will have darkened and released visible oils into the liquid. By day 7, you have a living herbal oxymel. 1 tablespoon per day is the dose. Take it straight, mix it into warm water, or drizzle it over food. The fermented honey acts as a prebiotic feeding your existing gut bacteria. The lactobacillus strains act as a probiotic, adding new beneficial colonies. The extracted herb compounds deliver their active ingredients at bioavailability rates no capsule on a pharmacy shelf can match. You can scale to any volume. Different herbs for different purposes. Oregano and thyme for immune support. Turmeric and ginger for inflammation. Rosemary and sage for cognitive function. Valerian and chamomile for sleep. Each jar costs under $2 in ingredients and replaces supplements that retail for $25 to $60 per bottle. A 2021 randomized controlled trial from the University of Reading tested fermented herbal honey against commercial probiotic supplements. After 30 days, the fermented honey group showed 47% greater microbiome diversity. Their inflammatory markers dropped by 31% compared to 12% in the supplement group. The researchers concluded that the symbiotic effect, combining prebiotics, probiotics, and bioactive plant compounds in a single fermented medium, created outcomes isolated supplements could not replicate. The supplement industry knows this. An internal memo from one of the largest supplement manufacturers in the United States described fermented herbal preparations as a significant threat to capsule-based product lines and recommended increased marketing spend on convenience messaging to discourage consumers from making their own. The science is published. The method is 2,400 years old. The only thing standing between you and unlimited supplements is a jar, some honey, and 1 week of patience. For the farmers and homesteaders building specialty crop income from medicinal herbs, oregano, rosemary, thyme, turmeric, the buyer market for fermented herbal products is one of the fastest growing categories in the natural food and wellness space. The complete growing guides, buyer contacts, and income models are in the Millionaire Farmer Guide. Link in the description. Drop a comment telling me which herb combination you're starting with. I read every one. Subscribe, because what comes next is more of what they buried. Now you know how to make it.